What's up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? Your buddy Big Johnny G from Two Gun Pixie Presents Legendary Gaming is back again. Yes, outside again. Another midday monologue while I'm on my lunch break. So what I was thinking about this time was I was thinking about shelves. You know, gaming shelves. You got gaming shelves, I got gaming shelves. Even if your shelf is just the top shelf of a closet. We all got gaming shelves because we love games. We have tons of games. We play games. We need someplace to put these games. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this is something very small that I myself have kind of been bothered with, a little irked with, because I can tend to be very anal at times, especially about placing things that I own, you know? So, you know, whenever I watch the videos, the gaming videos, whether it's the Dice Tower or the Board Game Renegade or any of those other ones, I'm always looking, and I bet a lot of you are also, I'm always looking behind them. Yeah, I'm looking at their shelves. Not just to see what games they have, but I try to figure out what kind of order that they put them in. Because to me, that's a really big deal. What kind of order I'm putting these things in. So I try to figure out what they're doing. And most of the time, I can't tell. I can't make heads or tails of how people shelve their darn games. Especially the one that drives me the most nuts is probably Tom Vassell. But I bet that a lot of his games are probably item placement games. I wouldn't be surprised to find out if you know he gets paid to have certain games behind him because he's at such a high level of board game relations, you know, with the community and everything. And everyone goes to his site. So I kind of figure I'll give him leeway on that. But most of the others, especially mid-level and low-level reviewers that I watch and check out, I can't figure out how anyone shelves anything. I really can't. As the 20-sided warriors can attest, always being at my place, I'm very, as I said, I'm very particular about how I do my shelving. My shelves, myself, I have them broken up into genre category, which is how I do it. Remembering off the top of my head here, like the first shelf, the very top is my sci-fi section, which is blowing up. If you've seen the earlier State of the Shelf address that I did, completely blowing up. And yes, I am going to have to change that and divide it out for one general sci-fi section, and the new section I'll be creating is specifically just for space games that take place in space, like you're in a spaceship kind of game, not just in space because it's on another planet. Then I have my Dungeons and Dragons shelf, which is just board games, dice game, card games under the Dungeons and Dragons logo. I have a mythology section just for games based on mythology, like Blood Rage, let's say. Odin's of Raven. Catch that? Odin's Ravens. You know, games like that. I have my mythology section. And then I have my basic fantasy section, which is a catch-all for any game that falls under the fantasy genre. I have a superhero shelf for games like Sentinels of the Multiverse and Guardians Chronicles, which is starting to get a little bit bigger. That genre of game, if you see my last midday monologue, isn't that big, isn't that great, isn't that huge in general, but it's starting to get a little bit better, so my shelf is getting a little thicker. I have another shelf just for historical games, and that's going to be divided out soon too. I'm going to have to divide that out between general historical games and my Old West or Wild West games, because those are starting to trying to take over that shelf. I used to have a horror shelf, and that got so out of hand. That was probably the first shelf I had that got completely out of hand. And that actually got divided into three different shelves. I have a general horror shelf, I have a shelf just for zombie games, and I have a shelf just for Lovecraftian or Cthulhu games, the Mythos games. See, that's the way I divide it out. And then once they're on the shelf, they're all divided by height, because I usually tend to stand the games up. So from left to right, I got the tallest down to the shortest. And if I need, I can always put a game on top of something else. But I really, really try to avoid doing that, because it just bothers me aesthetically, visually. It's just very bothering for me to see that. And don't even get me started on games that are sitting on top of another game and they're like uneven. Oh my God, that just drives me absolutely nuts. But that's what I do with my shelves. Because the shelving to me is very important, because the better your games are shelved, then the easier it is for you to find the game you're looking for, or just pick a general game. And like I said, most of the games that I have, all the games I have divided up by genre. So if there's ever a day somebody comes over unexpectedly, or we don't have enough players to continue a game that we were playing, like Dungeons and Dragons, or we just want to pull something off the shelf and keep ourselves entertained for a few hours, then all I got to do is look at the gang and be like, well, what genre you feel like playing? And then once we know the genre, then we can pick a game. So that's why I like to do it. But I'm telling you, almost every single other reviewer I watch, I have no idea how you handle your shelvings, because the games are so hodgepodge, and it drives me nuts every time I watch one of your videos, because I'm trying to figure out how did you do that. Well, anyway, that's it for your buddy Big Johnny G. Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming, another midday monologue, and my friends, I am out of here.